Good evening, everybody. Hopefully, you are getting your taxes done. That's what today is mainly going to be about, is taking care of your annual financial deadlines and responsibilities. So, we are indeed into tax season. So it is time yet again to engage with the only thing we fear as much as public speaking and death, evidently. So, boa tarde. Good morning to all of those who are in the United States, or I guess it's rolling into the afternoon as well. I am John McNertney here at Green Ocean Global Advisors. Please jump into the chat if you can't hear me. Or I guess if you can't hear me, then enjoy the written disclosures. So we are not lawyers. We are financial professionals at Green Ocean Global Advisors, but today is not intended to provide you with tax advice per se. What is to follow will be hopefully some very well-intentioned guidance with regards to a few very important facts that as a financial professional, I discuss with my clients all the time. In case you do not know me, welcome. I am John McNertney. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Green Ocean Global Advisor. I'm from San Francisco, originally from the Bay Area, and let's see, what does the sign say here? I have a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology, and I have minors in philosophy and French, and now hopefully I have an honorary degree in Portuguese as well. I hold the Certified Financial Planning designation and a Global Financial Planning designation from the Global Financial Planning University. I'm currently co-located, which is a fancy word for living, in Portugal. I live in Lisbon and in San Francisco. So today we are going to attack this outline, and I think it's going to be kind of short today. Maybe not, but today I'm going to run through key financial deadlines. We're going to talk about tax obligations. We're not going to really talk much about the NHR because it just makes me feel kind of sad. We're going to talk about visas, residency, and a number of other financial concepts. I wanted to make this a rather quick one, but a relevant one, because of course we're heading into tax season in both the United States and in Portugal. And so I wanted to give us a place to talk about this as well as just give you kind of a basic primer. So by way of introduction, I thought I would take us through a fun little glossary. Just in case you don't have these concepts, you will need them in what is to come here. So if you don't know what a NIF is, then come along. We are going to learn. The NIF is basically your tax ID, because in Portugal, the tax ID is not the same as your social security number. And so all residents must obtain a NIF. If you don't have one, go out and get the ball rolling on this tomorrow, please, because it is crucial for just about everything that you're going to do as a tax resident of Portugal. The SNS, that is your health services number. This is going to give you access to the wonderful universal healthcare system that exists here in Portugal. The IRS, the Imposto sobre o Rendimento de Pessoas Singulares. É muito importante por causa da IRS. Now, this one's fun because the IRS is the IRS. It's interesting. The IRS is the tax system, but it is not the same as the United States IRS, because the IRS, which famously brought in Jimmy Hoffa, is an executive. It's an extension of the executive branch of the government, whereas the IRS here is just the code itself. The ATA is like our IRS, the Autoridade Tributária e Aduaneira, your friendly IRS authority. Yes, they oversee the carrying out of the IRS guidelines. Let me just open up my chat here, just in case. In case you have questions, in case you have any questions, please do go ahead and ask away. although I will pause, as always, at the end to engage in some banter and, I hope, productive conversation. Additional terms, the Imposto Municipal sobre Imóveis, property tax. Property tax is based on your property value, of course, and property taxes are generally higher if you live in the country in Portugal. In fact, in Lisbon, it is 0.4%, but as you head out into the countryside, I am told, I haven't audited any well, I have actually audited some tax returns, but I haven't seen anywhere the IMI is featured. The AIMI is very creatively named the additional IMI. And so this is basically a wealth tax. So if you own a property that is worth more than 600,000 euros, you are going to be faced with up to an additional 0.7%. I should put up to, because it could be less than that. There are essentially breakpoints above 600,000 at which you are going to be faced with progressively higher taxes. Not fun. And I'm not in favor of any kind of wealth tax. The stamp tax is the one-time tax, the IMT, that is levied when you initially purchase a property. And again, it goes higher the more expensive your property is. And the VAT system, the value added tax, or in Portuguese, the IVA, just a different order of words. These taxes are levied on any goods and services that are provided to Europeans by Europeans. And that is very important if you open a business here. You must remember this, is that if you have a U.S. entity and you are billing other U.S. entities, might happen, you are not to charge a VAT, and you're not to be charged a VAT, right? So, for example, my attorney, when he does work for me in Portugal, he bills my U.S. company. And when he bills my U.S. company, does he charge a VAT? No, he does not. But I had to bring that distinction to his attention, which is the reason that I'm saying this, is make sure that as you're going out into Portugal and doing business with Europeans, if you have an entity that's based out of the United States, then make sure that you bring this to their attention. So let's jump into the calendar, shall we? So the Portuguese tax year is a calendar year. Nothing surprising in that. Anything that's to be recorded against 2023 must occur in 2023. Interest, dividends, income. That's easy enough. Your tax returns are submittable from April the 1st to June 30th. So just a bit later. It's a little bit annoying, right? Because our tax year as an American citizen, it ends on April the 15th, normally. Once you are filing as a permanent non-U.S. person, then you will be granted an automatic 60-day extension when you return your taxes, and you should usually ask for the full extension, the one you need to ask for as well. That will grant you up until October the 15th to do your taxes. Especially once you become a Portuguese tax resident, that will make things just a little bit easier for you. Businesses follow another schedule. Just included that just to be complete. There are specific deadlines for VAT returns. And so that is if you are not always paying, if you're not always charging your VAT, then you must actually, with the assistance of your required relationship with your accountant, you must report all of your revenue so that you can pay additional VAT if in fact you've been found to be underpaying. And there's usually just one time per year that you're required to do this, unless you're making more money. And they break up the payments into three separate payments. The IMI, your property taxes, are due in the same manner in 1, 2, or 3 installments, and that depends on when you how much your property is worth. And then again, this is something that is only for companies. The standard audit file for taxes. something that I do every single month. By the 25th, you must upload some data to the government via your CPA. All right, guys, pop quiz time. You ready? When is the best time to try to connect with that new accountant? If I still had the sound on, I could engage the Jeopardy theme song. Is it A, just after tax season when they're most likely vacationing? Is it B, just ahead of the tax filing deadline? Just before the tax filing deadline, they'll be happy to set aside their last minute consultations to meet with you, their new customer. Is it mid-year during a typically quieter period for accounting professionals? Is it right now, which allows them more time to really get to know you? Or is it D, on the eve of a major holiday, assuming that, they'll have time. They don't want to celebrate Natal, Pascua, or maybe call them in the middle of summer. You know the answer to this, of course. It's right now. Is probably the best time that you're going to find at the end of February, this very short February. Get a hold of your new accounting team and make some magic. Okay. Special note for those of you that do not have NHR but qualify for it. Again, this is like the NIF. If you haven't done this, please actually hit stop right now. Don't watch me. Go and get this taken care of because the transitional regime is in force right now. So that means if you are qualified for the non-habitual residency status but have not yet applied for it, then the window is closing, but it's still open. And so definitely go and take advantage of the tax holiday. It's a big deal. Okay, what about vehicles? Okay, importing a vehicle into the EU. Well, I thought I would put this in just for completeness. Now, if you are going to be bringing a vehicle into the EU and you haven't done it yet, I didn't put this here, but the major deadline is make sure you get your certificado de bagagem, which is your certificate of baggage. Make sure that you are within, I think, your first year of living in Europe, if you're a non-European, in Portugal, and make sure that you get the certificate that states that you don't have to pay taxes on your property that you already own. Yeah, I know it's awful, but it is going to happen. If you try to bring your car in and you're not doing it within this initial period, you're going to pay a heavy tax as if you just bought the thing, as well as a one-time ISV tax. It's an additional 10% as well. So you could pay up to an extra 33% on that beloved Volkswagen Beetle that you could never find here. So anyways, be sure that before you bring it in, you're familiar with all of the many rules and guidelines that are different in Portugal vis-a-vis the US. I'm thinking the smogging duties, but there's other documentation requirements as well. But I thought I put in, there it is. There's the inspection deadline. Make sure that you get your car inspected. If, like me, your car is older than 5 years old, you need to do this once per year. And I'm chuckling because I forgot. I forgot to do this last year, and I got pulled over at a random roadside stop, and I got issued my very first fix-it ticket, but I fixed it. The IPO is required annually for cars over 4 years old. Right. Costs are not expensive, and you can schedule your appointments online. So don't forget about that. Common pitfalls to avoid: the driver's license exchange. Driver's license exchange, it's actually not necessary, I don't think. Hopefully somebody in the lobby here can correct me if I'm wrong. There was a piece of legislation, I think 3 years ago, that stated that I think to let the pressure off of their DMV, you don't need to worry. If you have a US driver's license, you don't need to do the conversion. But it's probably not a bad idea. And of course, as with everything, failing to adhere to all of these deadlines, you're going to get a penalty. You didn't really think you were going to get away with it, did you? Visa and residency renewals. Visit the Facebook page. Again, I'm not advertising for any other reason other than it's true. If you go to the Facebook and Friends in Portugal Facebook group, every single day you were going to hear endlessly about all of the good news that people are wanting to share with the community. It's great, actually, but I'm not going to try and outdo them with giving you information about these renewals. If you are planning to stay for longer than 1 year, you must make your way through the myriad of different visa types that are available. If you want a golden visa, then there's a separate process that's involved, and it is kind of expensive. So please reach out to me or somebody else that can walk you through that process, because that is not the easiest process by any means either. Health insurance. Is there a deadline with regards to health insurance? Not really. Health insurance and public, let's see. Yes, there's no specific deadline, but let me be clear. Do this ASAP. That's the only deadline that I would say exists with regards to healthcare. So to enroll in the public system, you do it directly at the Centro de Saúde. That's it. Do it with your employer if you have a job, or you can visit your local health center to get assigned to a doctor. Private healthcare insurance is going to be offered to you at nearly every turn. It's available from a surprisingly wide array of private agents. So, no doubt it is nice to have, but make sure you do quite a lot of shopping before you settle on a private health insurance program. The third maxim, and of course this is true with just about everything, but give yourself plenty of time at every possible point in your healthcare journey. I did not always do this, and I found myself also stressing out because I didn't speak great Portuguese, and I was faced with just the sort of standard Q&A that one goes through when one is engaging with the healthcare system, especially over the phone. Not easy. So give yourself time before you call your friendly neighborhood doctor. And 911, no. Remember this: quando devo ligar é 112. And the operators at 112 are usually trained in English. So if somebody asks you to chamo uma ambulância, tell them you heard it here. 112. Utility and service deadlines. I'm going to start with banking, actually. If you have mastered this, then God bless. Understanding financial services as a resident of Portugal can be a little bit tough. All of these banks exist here, and there are a few options for bringing money over from the United States. And I would say that most of the banking is straightforward, but a great deal of the work that you do with banks, it's going to be happening online, or in person rather. I'm sorry, in person and not online. And so, make sure that you're aware of the banking hours. Standard banking hours are 8:30 to 1500, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But there will also be a 1 to 2 hour lunch. So just be aware that if the bank is not open at noon, that's probably what's happening. The regulatory environment here. So here is actually some similarities and differences with the U.S. banking system that I have become aware of since moving here. The regulatory environment's kind of the same. So FDIC insurance. Did I write this down here? Yes, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. They have an analogous organization that is going to insure your bank deposits. They have their own CMVM. That's the Portuguese equivalent to the SEC. They've got an insurance and pension funds supervisory authority, which is the same as the PBGC in the United States, the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation. Differences exist here as well. Their structure is highly fragmented, or our system is highly fragmented in the United States. Portugal's system is concentrated. So those banks that I pointed out here, those are some of the only games in town. They do not have little community credit unions that you can apply to. Checks are still regularly used in the US. They really are not used here, not so much. And of course, at the end of this list, one of the big differences that I love so much is MBWay. I can't get enough of MBWay. It's so much easier to use than most of the phone-based options, including Apple Pay. The investment culture. Now, for me, this is a major deal. The Portuguese do not, or they have not had great access to investments. That's, I think, been silently changing. That's been quietly changing. But due to the fact that they have not had this developed market, due to the fact that they did not have stocks, did everybody see what happened with NVIDIA yesterday, popping all over the place? They don't really look at investing the same way that Americans do. And so that makes things a little bit different for your average Portuguese resident. Critical dates for utility payments. Well, there's nothing in it here that's different than paying your U.S. utility provider. Not really. Um, Water services are managed. Yes, that is a bit different. Electricity and gas you can choose from among a very limited variety of electric and gas providers. Water you cannot. Water, you're essentially stuck with the one provider with whom you probably already work. And internet and I guess cable, for those of you that are really still using the old school cable option, um, well, it's Mayo, Nosh. There are a few options here. But as an American boy, these are the two things that I really pay attention to. It's upload and download, which is really good. Internet speeds across the board seem to be excellent in Portugal. Either if you're on a fixed option, as I am at my home office, or if you're using one of the various sort of wireless dongles. Dongle, dongle, wireless dongles that you can purchase from companies like Vodafone. And managing your calendar. Now, this is actually, I hope, going to be the most useful part of what I have to tell you today. How do you do it? I'll show you how I do it. So integrating all these financial deadlines can be difficult. And of course, it can be costly if you're not doing it effectively in both countries. If you're like me and you manage an existence that spans both countries, you want to avoid penalties. You want to be smart about the kind of financial planning that you do, such as with your taxes. And at the end of the day, it's all about stress reduction. Not just great yoga classes, but making sure that everything is done well in advance of deadlines. Bad surprises come from poor preparation. Managing time is not just about productivity. It's not. It's about this. I mean, we don't have unlimited time. You can always earn more money, but you can't get more time. So spend it wisely, don't waste it. And for me, that comes down to merging my two calendars, calendar one, calendar two. And I use, what do you think I use? Is it any one of these guys? The market, of course, is full of providers of productivity, personal productivity software. For my money, I've lately been using a product called Notion. This is indeed my secret weapon internally at my firm. And why do we use this? Is Notion has a calendar that has underneath of the calendar this delightful. Yeah, I'm a nerd. I just realized this for the first time. There's a data underlay of information that can be connected from UCITS and 529 plans to detail on general facts concerning Portuguese capital gains taxes. I keep all of this information in an interface that is actually connected to my calendar. And so I use Google Calendar and I use the Microsoft Office suite of products. But my vision, and I'm happy to connect with anyone one-on-one if they'd like to figure out how to use this stuff, but I essentially go in and I connect these little pages to calendar items. And so what you effectively have is all of your information being set up in a little personalized wiki that you can link up into to your calendar. You can hyperlink it to your calendar when you need to. And I told you I would keep it short, and I did. That was 25 minutes of me talking, though, so I apologize. But in conclusion, yeah, you may have realized your dream, or maybe you're on your way. But figure these things out, or or risk your mental sanity. Um, this is some unnecessary, self-serving stuff here. That's pretty much it. So I'm wide open to Q&A during today's session. While anybody queues up their questions, I'll just say this: you know, the the only real serious deadlines that I have to worry about every year, it's going to be the taxes, because especially in your first year, when you're unaccustomed to doing Portuguese taxes, there's just the fear of the unknown. And because it's not due until June, and you can't actually open your file until April, you're definitely going to want to get that extension filed, so that you can do your Portuguese taxes first, and then claim the tax expense, your tax liability, as a credit against the U.S. taxes. Other than that, I am going to set you guys free just a little early today. If I seem low energy, I apologize. It has been a long day for me. My children kept me up late last night for a variety of things. So that is all I've got. Please, please, if you have questions, bring them my way. We've got a nice group of people here in the room, and they would all benefit if you have any. Just trying to think if I have any other deadlines. I have a number of deadlines that are personal deadlines. Q&A. Here we go. I assume, I was looking in the wrong one. I was looking in the webinar chat. Okay, I've got 6 questions, guys, starting with Rob. And he says, I assume the AIMI only pertains to properties in Portugal itself. Oh, that's a great question, actually. So Rob is asking, is the wealth tax going to be applied against your global asset basis? If you were in Italy, then the answer might be yes. So that's a good question. But no, it is not applied against your Portuguese taxes. The Portuguese tax is not levied against your U.S. assets. Do the Portuguese use their driver's licenses to the same extent that we do in the United States as a general identification? No, they don't actually, Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous Attendee. That's a great question. No, what they do tend to use, though, is they use their cartão de cidadão. So once you become a citizen, you're issued like a full-fledged identity card that is not the same as your matriculação. I think it's the cartão de matriculação. So there's that. Oh my goodness, Martine, you have not discovered. Okay, so I had a question. What is MBWay? Do you want to tell her, or should I? MBWay lives on your cell phone and connects to your bank account, and you basically use it to pay for, well, everything and anything. My favorite story is an incident in which somebody gave me money that was just standing close at hand. I was at a beach with my children, as one is generally in the height of June, and I had not thought to bring any cash and wanted to purchase a bottle of Superbock. Totally, happens to all of us. And so I was standing at the vendor, and I did not have cash. And so I went, "Oh, that's a bummer. I don't have cash." Well, that's too bad. Somebody on a beach blanket, literally just a few yards away here, says, "Hey, would you like to have some money? Just MBWay me some cash." Really? And this lovely person, yet again, evidence of the lovely people that are everywhere, of course. And they said, "Look, let me show you how it works. You can just send me money on your MBWay application." And because of the very high level of standardization that exists among banks in Portugal, they're all on the MBWay network. If you've noticed, you don't have any nuisance fees at ATMs. That is another part of their standardization that occurred after their financial crisis in 2008 among banks. So MBWay, totally necessary. If you don't have it, check it out. You can even get money at an ATM with if you don't have your card. Which taxes should we do first? Demetrius asks us which taxes should we prepare first. If this is your first year here, you still may want to do the United States because um, why? Because you're going to be probably a tax resident only for a partial year here in Portugal, and so your tax liability is most likely going to be much higher in the United States. Although even then, you might still want to just do it here in Portugal because you're gonna be a tax resident here for part of the year. Gonna have to do it anyways. But normally, you do it in Portugal first once you're a tax resident. Okay. Um, Devin, if I manage to get registered by the NHR by November this year, but only reside here for a month, are you on the hook for taxes? Yes, you are actually. That was, Devin, what I was just referring to, is you will be filing a partial year return, a very short partial year return. But their returns are very easy to fill out, especially when there's not very much information to put into them. Definitely get acquainted with the finances.pt website. Gary asks, do we file U.S. taxes prior to or after Portugal taxes? Once again, you do your U.S. taxes after your Portuguese taxes. Scott points out to me, see, I knew, I love my job because I get to touch brains with a lot of smart people, just like we do in the Facebook groups, I guess. But he says driver's license exchange is required if you are 60 or over. Uh-oh. Michael just checked me. He said, be cautious. MBWay is going to be modified. Okay. Can a non-resident with, okay, sorry, I was just confused for a second. I thought my thing was muted. It looked like it was muted for a minute, and I had a momentary moment of panic. Let's see. DB says, I thought we filed in the US and that offsets our Portuguese tax. No. Once you become a Portuguese resident, and there was a great person on an Expacity webinar that pointed this out, they said that the country where you are the tax resident gets the first bite of the apple. That's just a cute way of saying it. It's stuck with me, obviously. And Hashem asks, can a non-resident with a NIF or a bank account activate an MBWay account? A non-resident, as long as you have a NIF and a bank account, I think yes. I'm going to weigh in on that one, but I don't really know. That's an uneducated yes, likely. I use MBWay all the time when my children need to borrow my bank card and I'm left without my bank card, and I can take out money para levar dinheiro. Sai-me o cartão. It's pretty great. Yes, you can. Somebody just answered your question, Hashem. Indeed, according to Michael, who I know, and he's an intelligent gentleman, he says yes, you can. So good. Well, I can see the room is emptying out. Wow. Hopefully, everybody here found this to be of some value. I know that it probably looked like there would be a lot more deadlines than there ended up being. I apologize for that, but I tried to load as much information here as I could in any event. So thank you for visiting tonight, and I hope this has been valuable. Take good care.